From the studio at TechTown, this is your Daily Detroit for Wednesday, July 17th, 2024. And today, we're taking stock of the Detroit Tigers at the All-Star break. I'm J.R. Stays, and joining me at the table are two great people. To my right, you should be very familiar with him, Mr. Fletcher Sharpe. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. It's good to see a few people who said hello at the Kresge Foundation award ceremonies that happened last night.
Oh, awesome.
But yeah, I mean, it's hot inside, so I'm here, so that's all that matters.
It's hot everywhere, Fletcher. There's no escaping it unless you ice cold, one 8x8 room like somebody does who lives in a 100-year-old house in Detroit. And Justin Remington, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. I will say this. Having two kids, dealing with the thunderstorm last night, I am working on very little sleep.
I feel that with the dog who literally needed to hide underneath the blankets. But here is the thing. My dog doesn't she pretends she wants to be close and cuddle. And then as soon as things are done, you know what happens? Just starfish, just explode. I woke up to a perpendicular pupper and my legs were off the bed because it was just I don't know how she goes from 60 to 150. But she just explodes. It's amazing.
Perpendicular pupper. Put that on a T-shirt.
Oh, you know what? That would actually be good. And with the straight legs, because you got to push with the paws ever so slightly while you're asleep. That is the way to go. But we are going to talk about Tigers, not Terriers today. It's one of the American League's oldest clubs. But for the last few years, man, it has not been the sauce. And here's the thing. We're coming up. This is the best and worst of times for the team. An 8-2 run in the last 10 games. Absolutely awesome. I loved the bunt walk-off win. That was huge. The energy was great. But it's this is the worst time maybe to go into a break. So I figured let's take some stock of where the team's at, what we're thinking, just in general. How are we all feeling as far as the vibes? Fletcher Sharpe, will go with you first.
I guess more positive than last All-Star break, but that's not really saying much. I mean, if you sucked the year before and you suck a lot less, but still are not good, I mean, that is progress, but it's not really the progress you really want to see. I'm bittersweet. I think people should really, really, really appreciate Tarik Skubal. I don't really think we'll be seeing him in a Tigers uniform for much longer. And honestly, it'd be unfair to him for him to stay because he's been playing great, and they just really haven't been playing that well around him. And it's going to reach a point where do we want to hold on to him and have him leave for nothing, or do we want to try to get some young players or some prospects? Do we want to get some something? Because he's doing really well. I'm sure he's very media trained, but I think it's starting to wear on him a little bit too.
I'm just tired of the series of pitchers over decades that we've just watched go out the door. And I don't think there's a number of players that we kind of get to a cutoff point of, are we going to make a run for it? Or as much as it breaks our hearts, do we need to start cashing in some chips, Justin Remington?
It's one of those things where if you would have told me at the beginning of the year, based on what the prognosticators said about this division, that we're 47-50 heading into the break, I would have been pretty thrilled with it. I think given where we've been, but we're going against the Central, which is one of the better divisions now, and so it really makes it challenging. And to what Fletcher just said is, you hate to want to even talk about seeing someone go like Tarik, but in reality, we've got to figure out a way to get better.
Well, that's the question that I have. And, even at the beginning of the season, there was talk that we're not going to really spend and do things. But it's so frustrating to see a team so far under the average. And it's what are they? I mean, that's the thing. You look at these flashes of brilliance, the beginning of the season, this 8-2 run. I can't help but think we actually weren't that far away, but we just didn't want to spend the money. That's what I worry about.
I agree. And past trends, it'll be very curious to see, are we going the Moneyball route, or what are we trying to do, and what is the identity of this team?
I feel like we've been wrestling with that for a while.
Fair.
I mean, I'm not really sure what they can do. I mean, it'd be one thing outside, again, of Skubal, if you had players who were contributing at a level where it's I could see where maybe we could entice some free agents to want to come here and do stuff. But when you spend so much money on a human windmill like Javier Baez, and you just see him go out there and just do what he's doing, it really doesn't make people say, oh, I want to go play with people like that. It makes you go, I definitely want to play against them because what the heck is that young man doing? So I feel like they gambled, kind of like how the Pistons did before, where they gambled and they got a lot of money and they ended up bringing in Ben Gordon and Charlie Villanueva, which don't know why they thought that would work. And you see, it's like, that's all right. Reshuffle the deck and try again, and then try again. It's just unfortunate that they're stuck in a situation where they're gonna have to keep shuffling until they can somehow get someone else there at that position for a little bit less money to maybe spend it around a much different way than they were doing it right now.
Justin, are there positives that you see?
Oh, tons of positives. I mean, first, I have to start off with Justin Henry Malloy getting his first home run on his first hit. I mean, Team Justin has never been stronger. I'm a big believer that while sometimes the product isn't where it needs to be, the atmosphere with the players, there's just so much good energy. You got the pizza celebration. You've got in the outfield, Riley Green and co are jumping around and ring around the Rosie. I mean, there's so much fun going on the field. I think we just need to match that in the stands because, we're coming at the All-Star break. Yeah, it kind of sucks that we are 8 out of our last 10 and now we've got a break. But at the same point, hopefully that's a refreshing point for the team to say, you know what? We've got something here. I mean, they've got an uphill battle for the division, but I think there's a lot of exciting things happening.
Oh, and for sure, like you mentioned, Riley Green, like he's really coming into his own. Like that's great to see, especially to have some of your younger players like really step in there. I know Spencer Torkelson had his moment. He's kind of dipped down a minute, but I know he's starting to come back up a little bit as well. And just you want to see these players do well. And like I've said with the Pistons before and even the Lions till they started being good, if you're going to be bad, at least be young and exciting. Like, and they are an exciting team. They have their moments where like they can go and crap the bed, but they also have their moments where they can go, like you said, bunt, walk-off win. Comerica it seems like it's a happier place. Generally, even after some close losses, I've walked by a few times and just heard the roar about stuff. Whereas before, it's like you walk by and it's like, is that a scrimmage? Like, oh, they're actually playing a game and just people are just like, whatever. You see more people going there and talking about the game and less about, the yard marks, which is nice. But yeah, it feels like kind of they're stuck in like a gray area and they're just not able to push themselves forward yet. But again, going into the break 8-2 could be bad because it is a break, but also could be good because it gives you a viewpoint of like what we can do to go forward and maybe get some rest into how to now attack going into the next half of the season.
Well, that last half or whatever is 40%. I know it's not exactly half, but that last bit, we're gonna have to win a lot of games though if we want to. If we're actually thinking about a wild card or a playoff. If that's actually the discussion, I think that plays into how we wheel and deal and spend going into the offseason. Like, are we feeling like we should make a run or are we feeling like we should have a good time?
I mean, I'm always down for a good time. You know that. I mean, like that's, if we're being honest here, I mean, you got the players doing the butt slap celebration. You've got big country out there. I mean, to me right now, it is figuring out what our identity is. And then, really building off of this excitement that we have right now. I mean, I have always kind of determined a team's success based on the camera shake. And if we're doing good and no one's there, the camera's not shaking. This past weekend versus the Dodgers, that camera was bumping and moving all over when we scored that winning run. So to me, we've got to get that excitement back in the crowd. I mean, we're 23rd in the league in attendance. We're still way over what we were last year. I think last year we finished with 1.6 million. We've already gotten right around 1 million through the gate so far. So things are trending upward.
And that's good for downtown. That's good for the businesses downtown. That's good for the city. Because like the Old English D of all the logos that you talk about with Detroit, although the Tigers own it, and if you are a gas station in the middle of somewhere, you cannot use it, by the way. They will come after you. The Old English D is kind of the de facto logo of the Detroit region. It's the thing everybody looks to. Like, you love the Lions, you love the Wings, you love the Pistons, but that Old English D means something to so many people.
Absolutely.
But I will mention this because I heard you have a contrary opinion to some folks about the identity of the Tigers because, there's those City Connect jerseys that come out and
beautiful.
it's like Star Trek, but the Tigers. But okay, I'll give you a chance to say your piece.
So much like in soccer, every year you get a new jersey. And I appreciate you mentioned the Old English D. I'm a sucker for the Woodward patch on the arm. You just give me that number 1 on the arm.
Oh my God, it's so cheesy.
Oh, it looks great. It's fabulous. Not to mention, if we're getting a new jersey, City Connect jersey every year, why not throw some tire tread on the jerseys, throw some deep blue in there? I mean, we're never going to be changing our jerseys drastically besides the pants not being able to stay on at the seam. But
some of them disintegrate when you slide lately.
I mean, the Motor City Connect jerseys, I appreciate going outside of the box because much like golf, I can't stand sometimes the purity of, remaining things intact. We got to keep it fresh, got to keep it spunky. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm all about fresh and spunky, but I'm also about good design. And like tire treads, again, like I feel like can we find some energy around Detroit that isn't only, I'm not saying get rid of it, but isn't only tire treads and like that same kind of like road theme kind of thing. I would like to see some, and maybe that's not just a Tigers problem. Maybe that's just a vision in general.
I mean, I believe it's low hanging fruit, right? Like, I mean, throw some Joe Exotic Tigers all over the Tigers jersey. I mean, do whatever. I mean, again, you have the ability to reach out and excite fans, so do it.
What about like a Tommy Bahama style Tiger Faces jersey?
I mean, Jer will be all about that.
I'm sure. Well, listen, man, you're wearing a shirt with popsicles today.
Fair enough. It's hot. Every day in July is popsicle day.
Fletcher?
I mean, I get it to a degree, but when you think of Detroit, especially with baseball, as it's generally geared more towards the older demographic, people think Motor City. You think Motor City, you think tire treads. I'm not necessarily saying it's great, but like, I get it. Now, if the Pistons did something like that again, I'd be like, I don't get why you would do that. Yeah. You have a much younger demographic. You have people where you could try other things. I know they did a nod to St. Cecilia, which I appreciate. But like with the Tigers, I understand. And also, again, it's either you're gonna like the new jersey or you're not. You're gonna want the old English D back, the normal simplistic jersey. So like I don't mind them taking a shot. I don't necessarily think it's the best shot, but like I appreciate
I can live with that.
I appreciate the attempt. And I mean, if you don't like them, then next year they'll be different. Like, painless.
I will say this. I think there could be some more creativity in the outfield. Like with the Mets, they have the big apple. When you hit the home run, it goes flying. Like, why don't we just get like a giant Uniroyal tire out there? And if someone hits a home run through it, figure out something.
You know what I loved watching the that Heritage game? I love the old style advertisements.
Yes.
That made me feel super nostalgic and like super baseball. Whether you can look at the old pictures for like Wrigley Field, all those things. Like I would love to see some of the like modern brands do like a twist on their ads so that it feels more like a yard. Cause that was the thing. That game was magical for a number of reasons, but that was the first game in a long time down at Ricketts Field, Rick Wood. That I felt like it was baseball. I felt like I was watching baseball again. I feel like baseball has something to it. It's one of the reasons why I honestly kind of like minor league ballparks.
Absolutely.
Like I've had a great time in Toledo, a great time in Columbus, a great time in St. Louis and Memphis. Like I love minor league ballparks because of that like quaintness to it. And a lot of modern ballparks, like Comerica Park has the ability to have it. It just needs a little bit. Like the new screen is great and everything. That's a positive, but I think there's like a something, a je ne sais quoi we could add.
Exactly, and it's as much as kids love the carousel. That's not it.
I mean, also with minor league ballparks, most of them, and say for like Memphis, which has like the Grizzlies and other things there, most of them it's like this is like the attraction. Like, what are you gonna do today? We're gonna go down. Go watch the Mud Hens play, hang out at the ballpark, do it. And like it's got a I hate to use this word, but it's got an aura to like, wow, this is like our weekend thing. Whereas, somewhere like Comerica, go down and watch the Tigers game, it's great, but it's like, do you want to go watch the game or do you want to spend all your time over here and just not watch the game at all and go in the carousel and maybe do something else? And like with some of the smaller parks, you can do all of that and still feel like you're not, separated. And like I appreciate that feeling. I think every small minor league team should have something like that.
Okay, so how are we feeling about this Bally Sports, Ballyhoo, and how it's impacting our fandom and then maybe other fandoms or other people's fandom that you know?
I mean, for me, the way I get most of my Tigers news is through TikTok and Instagram. It has been so hard trying to juggle kids, finding what channel it's on and how to do it. I mean, it's to the point where
So no app for you.
No, heck no, no way. I'm not paying for Bally's. Like it's something that when you have so many different technology or media out there, I'm not gonna just pay just to watch baseball. Just won't do it.
I don't have space on my phone. And even if I did, I wouldn't make space for it. I'd rather give it to some free-to-play game that I'm going to delete in a month than give it to Bally.
I mean, but that's so hard because, like, we got this great at least in my opinion, a great announcer in Jason Benetti.
Hands down.
Like,
yeah.
and it's great on the social clips and everything else. I love listening to baseball on the radio. And maybe that's because I'm weird and I'm old enough to grow up with, like, the late night game with Ernie Harwell. Like, you know, like you're trying to, like, stay up late, but, you know, you have school in the morning. Like, that is, like, baseball tradition to me. But a lot of people, it's not that way. And, like, visual is so important for people now. You know, in that social clip and everything else. And I wonder, is it hurting some of the interest in the team?
Oh, 100%. I mean, ease of access is everything.
Yeah, that's kind of how you grow. Again, there are people who like to listen to sports on the radio, and like that's totally fine. But as there are also people who need the visual aspect of it, and if they can't watch something, then like they don't want it. Like there are people who'd rather watch a sport on mute than listen to it. And if they can't see what's happening let their mind not to paint a picture, but just see what's happening, some of them just don't want it at all. And if you're going to make it so impossible to like watch the sport or watch your product, then like people just would much rather just not even pay attention to it.
Well, and I think that actually goes beyond the Tigers, and that's the MLB. I mean, they have been dead last as far as I'm concerned in terms of their coverage, the media, how they really utilize social media. I mean, I will always see NBA. I'm seeing more NBA Summer League highlights now than I am of baseball.
But how much so social obviously is driven by algorithms. How much of that is just the energy changing? Because look, younger people are just not as much into baseball nowadays. They're just not. And then the other side of that is that soon this Bally issue, if it continues, is going to start impacting other sports, especially locally here in Detroit. You know, but yeah, I am interested to see it and interested to see if like there's still any of that energy with younger folks for baseball. That's one thing that I see is that there's a lot more of that shift towards basketball and especially towards football. Like literally, I get more people asking about Lion stuff than I do anything else because we're just so desperate for a winner. That's why if the Tigers could put together a good winning season, I think it would be huge for Detroit.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you saw what happened back in the aughts when the Tigers were rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, you know, I was lucky enough to be at the game in the ALCS when Magglio Ordonez hit that walk-off, and Comerica was right up there with Ford Field or
it was
any
amazing.
other sporting
It was an amazing
event.
atmosphere.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I mean, winning cures all. All this other stuff, people will download the app if you win.
That I think that's important. Fletcher Sharpe.
No, I mean, agree. Like if you give them something to want to watch, people will find reasons to watch it. But if they made the app like $40, but the Tigers were sitting at first in their division, people would pay $40. They'd grumble, but they'd pay $40 to have it. But you can make it free and like be where they are, and they're like, I don't want to do that just because. What's the point if they're not going to be winning? And I mean, it stinks, but this city's very much a city that is driven by two things: loyalty and winning. And if you can combine them, it's great. But if you have to choose, they'd prefer you be a winner than not, because if you're not, then that's great. But why do I care?
Yeah, I mean, the Lions and the Red Wings right now seemingly are dominating the attendance over the Tigers. I mean,
Yeah. Well, I think we will leave it there. I'd love to hear your thoughts. dailydetroit@gmail.com. How are you feeling about the Tigers? Justin Remington, where can people find you?
they can find me strolling the area of Royal Oak in Detroit. I'm also doing some coverage for DCFC's match day for the Majors Detroit, but I'm around.
All right, Fletcher Sharpe.
Only this one small political thing I will say: please don't shoot at elected officials. Nobody do that, regardless of how you feel, because they will turn your body into a Gallagher sketch. Please don't do that. It's so not good, and it's traumatic for everyone around you. And I'm gonna be outside, not doing that.
I think that's what we're all not going to be doing.
I mean, those are words to live by.
I think they are. He is at Saint FDW on the social medias. With that, I am Jer Stays. Thank you so much for listening to your Daily Detroit. Remember that you are somebody, and we'll see you around town.